And thanks for your time. This afternoon, judicial independence is dominating the agenda. The Ghanaian lawyers and members of the judiciary converge for the 2023 Bar Conference in Cape Coast. President Akufo-Addo is making that argument that it will be irresponsible and dangerous for former President John Dramani Mahama to claim that he has tilted the composition of the courts by appointing more than 80 NPP-aligned judges. The Chief Justice also followed through, insisting that the judiciary remains an independent arm of the state. However, the Ghana Bar Association is equally worried that partisanship is beginning to eat deep into the fabrics of the legal profession. There's a need for us to get you the very latest of all that's happened today and what the position of the Ghana Bar Association is with respect to the conference which inspired earlier today. First, though, let's listen to President Akufo-Addo make his speech earlier today.
Appointments to the lower courts, the High Court, and the Court of Appeal are done by the President exclusively on the advice of the Judicial Council. In the case of appointments to the Supreme Court, because of its unique position in our judicial structure, there are the additional requirements of the consultation of the Council of State and the approval of Parliament. In the overwhelming number of cases of justices designate to the Supreme Court, that approval has been given on a bipartisan basis. You can count on the fingers of a hand the number of justices designate whose approval meant less than unanimous consent. I've gone into this matter in some detail because of a new concept that has been recently introduced into our public discourse by no less a public figure than the fourth president of the Fourth Republic, the perennial NDC presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama, who has told the world that I have packed the courts with so-called MPP judges, and that one of the key purposes of a putative NDC victory in 2024 will be to enable him balance the courts with so-called NDC judges. Not only are these concepts of, quote, MPP and, quote, NDC judges new in our public discourse, they are also extremely dangerous and represent the most brazen attack on the independence of the judiciary by an allegedly responsible politician of the Fourth Republic. They provide another reason, if more were needed, why right-thinking citizens should ensure the defeat in 2024 of the man whom the first special prosecutor identified as government official number one in the still unresolved Airbus bribery scandal.
Well, let's now bring in the PRO for the Ghana Bar Association, Xavier Kuja, who's joining us via Zoom now. Thank you, sir, for your time. Of course, this is just the start of a number of conversations that will be ongoing as part of the 2023 Ghana Bar Conference. But let's start off with the concerns that you have as a bar as well. It's not just the president who's concerned about how partisanship is creeping into the judiciary. You are equally concerned that this is also eating deep into the profession, the legal profession itself. What trends and form is this taking, and why is the Ghana Bar Association concerned about this?
Pleasure, thank you, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. We are concerned because, certain things may be said by lay people, but as lawyers, once we are present, we ought to not let that happen. We all belong to the Ghana Bar Association, but a group of lawyers can decide to form other associations within the Bar Association. That is their right. But our concern is that if they are addressed at such gatherings, and they should be able to point out certain things that are not said right.
And you feel that this is just coming from a particular group of individuals, or this is much more than just one group?
I think so far the trend we've seen is to have, I think last year it happened at the same gathering of people, some lawyers who identify themselves with the NDC.
Right.
And this year too, it has happened.
So let's get to it then. If you of course argue that this is much more about questioning the integrity or the sanctity of the profession which you belong to, which is law. How does these groups, the emergence of the group, affect the professionalism, which is much more an independent matter or left to the individual who would then be practicing? How do you respond to that?
Well, I think it's not good for us. It doesn't augur well for us because there are young lawyers passing out every year who join our association, and if such examples should continue, we cannot build a good association and for that matter a good nation. I say this because, as I said, our ethics even enjoin us not to do things to denigrate more or less the practice of law. So where we practice our trade, the judiciary is brought on in a certain light, and there are lawyers there. My respectful view is that those lawyers should be able to draw the lay people's attention to that, because so far these things are not being said by any lawyer, but rather people of high stature, but who are laymen as far as the law is concerned, or the legal profession is concerned.
And we know that as an association, you're equally concerned about some matters, not just related to only your body, but also out of the association. So let's quickly get back to the address that your president delivered. What are the key demands you're making as part of this year's bar conference?
Well, he's spoken extensively about corruption and galamsey as well. Corruption, unfortunately, the president wasn't there to listen to this. He had left, but I believe his lieutenants were there, so they had listened. President gave an account of what he's done so far as a president in the fight of corruption. And the bar's position is that, yes, he may have done a lot, but we think that a lot more ought to have been done, or is ahead of us to do. So he should just raise up and do that. And then about galamsey, of course, it's not only about destruction of the environment. It affects our economy. It brings about diseases and all that. So our president, the bar touched on that through the bar president too. And then President Akufo-Addo also said, even though he said President Mahama didn't do well and all that, I admit, fine, that was all. But the only aspect I have a little concern about is going ahead to urge people to more or less vote against him on that. I don't think that it was proper for him to use the platform for that, because condemning what President Mahama said, many more people have already done it. The Ghana Bar Association too has done it, but to go ahead to say that because of what he said, people should more or less vote against him. I think that, to me, amounted to doing some political campaign on our platform, which to me is not acceptable.
So you're taking issues with that, and that will follow through with a statement to clarify matters?
No, I think that once I'm granting this interview to you, this should suffice, because it's the same medium that we use to propagate our statement. And I'm sure a lot of media houses were there. So to reiterate, I am saying that, yes, President Akufo-Addo has spoken about the statement made by President Mahama on the alleged appointment of MPP people onto the bench by him. But I don't think that it was proper for him also to use the bar conference during his address to say that because of what President Mahama has said, he was urging well-meaning citizens to vote against him more or less, because I don't think that our platform should have been used for that.
And it's part of the criticisms that you constantly face. I recall having a conversation with you where, of course, the Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC was also joining that conversation. The part of the claims was that the Ghana Bar Association appears to be leaning much more to the governing side, a reason for which you're accused of siding with the government on national issues. Don't you feel that this could also go a long way to taint your image as an association?
Well, I think there was a break along the line, but what I heard, I'll respond to it. Let me say that it would be totally unfair to say that we have constantly offered the sitting president, President Akufo-Addo, to speak against the other side of the political divide on our platform. That is unfair because, first and foremost, we don't prepare his speeches. We are not his speech writers. And I'm yet to know of a protocol where you have invited somebody to come and address you, then you elect or you seek to vet whatever the person is coming to speak about. No, we don't do that. I don't think that is proper. That is why I have taken the opportunity to say that, yes, he came today, he condemned what President Mahama said about the appointment to the bench, as we also did, but he went ahead to urge well-meaning citizens to vote against his party or him come 2024, and that we condemn.
And
so it is never,
yes.
And we can invite any person who is sitting as president to come and invite us. As just that President Kufuor has a unique relationship with us. This is a man when he was in opposition was always with us. Why then has he become a president and we should cut him off? And anytime we invite him, he comes. If he says he won't come, fine. Today, for instance, he was billed for another assignment, but he managed to come around before going. So we don't have any exceptional treatment for anybody when it comes to our conferences.
Did you extend a special invitation to former President John Dramani Mahama, knowing that, of course, the Chief Justice was going to be present, and that could have provided, a very fair platform for, if not open, it could be backroom, engagements to clear the concerns the former president has? Was that done?
That wasn't done because we had already spoken about the matter. His spokespeople came to defend it. So what then would be there to ask for us to discuss? Because they justified it. If you remember, I think you were the host of Top Story the day I granted an interview together with Mr. Tamaklo Eduji. And Tamaklo was of the view that Mr. Mahama had said it, we either leave it or take it. With such a posture, what is there to discuss?
I see. Well, that's an interesting point there. But okay, moving forward, corruption has also come up. Your leader speaking about, corruption and how that's affecting national development. The president says he's taking the boldest decision when it comes to the subject matter of corruption since independence. Are you buying that as the Ghana Bar Association?
Well, I don't know how he came to that conclusion, but there's nothing wrong with taking steps. So steps you can take, but as to whether you've achieved results is another matter, because what I know is that nobody measures efforts. It's results that we measure. So what the Ghana Bar Association is saying that the president may have taken steps by referring his appointees against whom various allegations had been made to the requisite or the administrative bodies and the institutions that had to investigate them, and they investigated, and no wrongdoings and found against them. But has that solved the problem? To me, no. But I must also say that the president has gone ahead to make a recommendation for reforms as far as the laws on corruption and bribery are concerned. If you remember, I haven't granted an interview and I said the only way to me that we should get to the bottom of fighting corruption is to look at our laws. Why do we have a law that says that the giver and the taker are equally guilty? To my mind, the guilt should be limited to the taker so that the taker may not even know that he's been set up by an opponent. Then we can make some headway. But if it remains the way it is, I don't think that we'll get anywhere.
And as it stands now, you're not impressed with the fight so far?
As far as his conduct, as procedurally, he has satisfied all the requirements, because as a president, if allegations are made against your appointees, you have no business dealing with them. Yours is to refer them to the relevant bodies. So if they are not found culpable by the relevant bodies, I don't see why anybody should blame him. If he refuses to refer them to the relevant bodies for investigation or the necessary things to be done, dealings to be done on them, that one we can say he's shielding them. Unless we are saying that he has some dealings with those institutions, which I don't think is fair. Nobody should go that way.
Okay, Xavier, after the conference this week, what will be that charge for your members to keep as members of the Ghana Bar Association?
Well, they should always remember that we are one fraternity. Nobody should break us up. The lay people, the politicians should not divide us. They should know that they have every right to practice politics. The first and foremost, as my president said today, their fidelity should be first to the law, because they may even have become politicians just because they are lawyers.
I see. And I'm sure that we'll reconnect in the coming days. Grateful for speaking to Xavier Kuje, as the PRO of the Ghana Bar Association. In a very harrowing incident, Sunday night, a 50-year-old truck driver narrowly escaped death as his cargo-laden truck crashed into one of the booths at the Accra Toll Plaza, leaving his tire in ruins. The unfortunate incident actually comes merely 4 days after the Ghana Highways Authority handed over the site to a contractor for the commencement of some demolition work on that expressway. The driver, grappling with the aftermath, blamed the contractor, citing woeful or inadequate warning signs as the reasons for which he had to crash. Listen.
Last night I was from Judicial, Kumasi. So when I reached by the distance, the reflector is too close. I and one truck too went to come by. You see that tires appear the road. So I want to defend myself and then defend the truck. So my two rims out spoil, and then my three tires too was blast. If the tow is not needed, you should remove the tow on the way. Because if you want to be this tow and always killing people.
And Sunday's incident is reinforcing calls for the motorway to be fixed. While bringing us details on this ongoing demolition exercises, Joseph Atu Amejaka is the Director of Road Safety and Environment at the Ghana Highways Authority. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Last week, we were, of course, elated that you pledged that you'd complete this project within a period of 14 days. Just day 4, and of course, this unfortunate incident is happening. What updates can you bring us as to how far you're going about with the repair works at the toll plaza? Hello, Joseph. You would have to unmute so we can hear the points you're sharing with us.
Hello?
Yes, loud and clear now. I was just asking about the progress of work, knowing that Sunday, of course, another unfortunate incident happened.
Thank you very much. Like we indicated, we are...
Hello, Joseph, if you're with us. Yes, Joseph, if you can hear me, I'm just asking you to take that point for us again about the update. And Joseph Amejaka is the Director of Safety at the Ghana Highways Authority, joining us on this latest incident that occurred Sunday, just after, that mounting pressure on the Ghana Highways Authority for repair works to be done. Joseph, let's try one more time. I was just asking about the updates on the work, knowing that last Sunday, of course, we witnessed another incident. I hope you can hear me, Joseph. We're just working the lines to get through to Joseph Amejaka, who's in charge of safety at the Ghana Highways Authority. But the pictures you see there of that haulage truck being repaired, obviously because of Sunday's incident, where of course another near fatal accident was recorded at this very spot. You see the toll plaza on the Accra Motorway. The concerns are immense, first of all, ranging on the issues about safety, the need to expand the stretch, and also the need to get the toll points cleared, because government is no longer taking the tolls at that point. It's raising visibility issues, the reason for which drivers are concerned, and also asking for some immediate works to commence on that. We'll get you updates shortly when we get back from the break, and of course we'll tell you more about some other happenings here. You're watching The Pulse. We'll be right back. And thanks for staying with us here on the Joy News channel. The minority in Parliament says that the police is deliberately obstructing them from going ahead with their planned protest tomorrow. Now, they're accusing the central bank governors of mismanagement, leading to the losses which incurred and negatively impacted on the livelihoods of Ghanaians, and are therefore using the protest to mount pressure for their resignation despite an inconclusive meeting between the minority and the Ghana Police Service, which aimed at reaching a truce on the routes to use for that protest. The minority has indicated its readiness to proceed with the protest. There's more in this report.
The meeting between the minority and the Ghana Police Service ended inconclusively as the routes for tomorrow's demonstration was not agreed. However, the Deputy Minority Leader, Emmanuel Amakofibwa, told the media that despite these challenges, they will go ahead with the demonstration.
The Police Service of Ghana, the Regional Police Command, could not tell us where the limits are. We have even made compromise and suggested, okay, since the Bank of Ghana is the security zone and you couldn't even tell us the limits today, it's very clear to us that the police are just doing everything to trample on our rights as Ghanaians, as representatives of the people of Ghana, and especially our right guaranteed in this constitution to protest. So it is clear for us that we've done everything we can to work with the police. This police will not work with us. They are not ready to even listen to us. They are not ready to compromise with us. But we are clear in our minds that we have the right to protest, and we will do so.
MP for Boku Central, Mahama Yarga, says there's no law that gives the police that power to prevent them from going on demonstration.
We have a right to demonstrate, and we will demonstrate. We have an issue with the central bank, and we'll go to the central bank. So let's deal with their first issue, which is the route. So we went back to the route that they initially proposed, which is that we should start from Obra Spot, go through Adaka, and then their initial termination point was Independence Square. So we said, okay, we are accepting your route. We will start from Obra Spot, we'll go through Adabraka, pass through Ridge Roundabout, and then go and pass through the National Theatre, and then hit the Atamils Highway, and then head towards the Bank of Ghana building. 2, and they agreed to the route, okay? Then we said the second, so once there's agreement on the route, let's resolve the third issue, which is the termination point. Yeah. You are saying we should turn and go and terminate at Independence Square. We say no, we don't have an issue with the independence of Ghana. Our issue is with the Bank of Ghana.
The demonstration comes off tomorrow, but with different routes. The minority is expected to pour on the streets of Accra to register their revulsion against governors of the Bank of Ghana for posting losses in the 2022 audited report. Reporting for Joy News, Samuel Mbura, Greater Accra Police Command, Accra.
Well, fortunately, Samuel Mbura is joining us back in the studio. As we understand, there's an update on the story where minorities beginning to change their mind on this protest. Sami, what's the update from the minority, and what are they indicating at this point?
So the update is that the protest has been postponed to 3rd October following an agreement between the Ghana Police Service and then the minority. So they've now reached a truce on the route that they will take for this protest. But as to the exact route that they will take, it has to
we understand this was part of the reason for which the issues ended up in court. Why is there a difficulty at just arriving on one simple route to use, and why is the minority resisting the attempts, what they describe as the attempt by the police to prevent the walk from taking place?
So the Ghana Police Service has cited security reasons as to why they cannot allow them to use the route they were proposing in front of Parliament through to Makola and some of the prime areas in Accra. They'll end at the Bank of Ghana, where they'll present the petition. They were expecting that the governors themselves will come and take the petition. If not, they wouldn't leave the premises. So because of the security concerns from the Ghana Police Service, that's why they had to go to court to restrain them. However, there was a misnomer with the application that they placed before Parliament, the court. The court directed that instead of titling it the Republic versus the minority, it should have been the Ghana Police Service versus the minority. So they were given a 1-week time period to go and then change that misnomer and come back. But this meeting today that was held earlier was to reach a truce on the routes that they will go for their protest tomorrow. But it didn't. It ended inconclusive. But after we had left, there was another meeting with the police, and then they arrived at the new routes that they'll be embarking on the 3rd of October.
So what's the agreement now? Do we have a clear sense of where the protests, the routes they'll be using, and whether or not they are reverting to what the police had originally proposed?
At the moment, we don't have the exact route for this protest, but what we are getting is that they have agreed on the route. I know subsequently they'll definitely...
So what would be the implication of this? That the protest will still happen tomorrow?
No, the protest wouldn't come tomorrow. They have to... That's why I said they have reached the truth. Yeah. So by the 3rd of October, they might have removed all the strings before they can go ahead with the protest. But initially, they were confident that it will take off tomorrow. However, there are changes, and it will come off on the 3rd of October.
And you've been engaging some of the leading members of... this is supposed to be an alliance, not just from the minority side, exactly, but other groups are also interested in this whole protest. What sense do you get from them as to, this insistence on trying as much as possible to go to the BOG when indeed they have other means of registering their concerns?
Yeah, so several groups are part of it. It's not just the minority, the Arise Ghana and other civil society organizations. I've also been told that market women drivers will be joining this particular demonstration or protest against the governors of Bank of Ghana. Their claim is that they have posted losses as witnessed in the 2022 audited reports, and these losses have affected negatively on the livelihood of Ghanaians. The reason they have to hit the street and then vent their revulsion against the governors of Bank of Ghana for mismanaging the economy, allegedly. They are also accusing them of allegedly printing some money that have contributed to the current economic mess in the country. A reason they are still insisting that the whole world must know that this is what the Bank of Ghana governments have done to the economy. So we have to expose them. They have other alternatives, such as going to Parliament, calling them to come, but they have been given the sufficient information about it, but they still think that let's pause to the street and register our anger.
And you've been speaking to the likes of Bernard Mona. Are they not certain or convinced or having that confidence that at least by October 3, things would have changed? The economy would be in a much more better position by then?
They are not getting any indication of that, because they think that, the evidence are there to show. Mm-hmm. Because if you have seen or you look at the performance of the economy and what the auditor report is saying, they think that is a reasonable grounds to protest against their management. They think that it is a clear mismanagement of the economy. Yeah. There is any positive signal that there's going to be any positive change and all that. So that is why they are still resolute to go on this particular demonstration against the governors of the Bank of Ghana, not just the governors, but the board members as well. So their main target is for them to resign. They think that resigning will be the ultimate goal in solving the economic challenges that we have in the country. But the last time I engaged the vice chairman for the Parliamentary Committee on Finance, Mr. Patrick Boama, he was of the view that the minority could have used different avenues to table their concerns, even though they have already been given sufficient information as to why the Bank of Ghana performed that way. But they think that going to the extreme of publicly demonstrating against the Bank of Ghana will send a signal of lack of confidence in the economy at the time that Ghana is still in negotiation with IMF on some of the debt negotiation and all that. So the general plea from the majority in government is that at least the minority can look at a different avenue to table their concerns, either than hitting the streets to publicly vent their anger.
Finally, any word from the Ghana Police Service?
Well, the Ghana Police Service, per their instruction now, they don't speak to the media. They don't. It is later that they may be issuing a statement that will be published on their official Facebook page or any of their outlets that will get to know what happened. But for now, the police wouldn't talk to us. But the indication I've gotten from the protesters is that they don't have trust in the Ghana Police Service. They think that they have been been used to frustrate their purposes. Their attempts to demonstrate.
Yeah. Okay, Sami Mbura will put the latest on this protest, and we'll definitely bring you updates. But frantic efforts are being made now to find managers of STA, that's Stanham's enterprise, 48 hours after an explosion at the Quarry company's site, which has actually claimed some 5 people already. There are calls for the Minerals Commission and the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, to be held responsible and accountable for the massive explosion that occurred within this community, a suburb of the, Andokrom in the western region. This actually follows the Mineral Commission's admission that the company, which we're talking about, the Startimes Enterprise, was operating illegally. The Western Regional Minister has set up a multidisciplinary committee already to establish the cause of this explosion that was witnessed. Natalia Kwanzaa is joining us now with more on what we're learning about this very latest incident. Natalia, what we see on the screens now is supposed to be the site, correct? Tell us what has happened ever since, investigations started.
Yes, bless. So ever since the explosion happened on Saturday around 11 p.m., what has happened is that the place has been guarded. EPA says that initially we thought there was going to be an excavation so that they could find out if there were more people who were involved in the death or who were involved. But EPA says that there is this fear that the ammonia or whatever explosives had, triggered this explosion. There might be some in the ground, and so there wouldn't be any.
In Natalia?
Chief, I was also at the place this morning, and like the Western Regional Minister has said, the 9-member committee is to start work immediately and then bring a full details of what could have accounted for this explosion within 3 weeks.
Natalia, how about the committee set up by the minister? What findings are they also making there? Perhaps pointing to what we are already learning from our sources or otherwise.
Well, it's the same thing. So just like the Minerals Commission is saying that this company is not licensed, they feel it's explosives which could have caused this, but they want the committee to do an in-depth investigation and then come out with their report before there is any conclusion as to whether it was an explosive or not.
And you were pointing out to us the other time, or just earlier this morning, about how the residents believe that this is not the first of its kind and that the enterprise has been operating at night, allegedly. These are all claims that we're hearing of. How true are these allegations?
Yes, so when we play the sound of the Minerals Commission boss, you could also hear him say that they sometimes pick up intelligence that these people are working, but when you come, it's not really what seems on the ground. And they are press release this morning. It's pointed out that, the Minerals Commission pointed out that that is what they've been taking up as well, but it seems that that is not, because these people work at night. Just like what happened, the explosive or the explosion happened at night, 11 p.m., and so in the morning, it seems these people are not working. But later in the night, these people get to work. And so the allegations seems to be true. The allegations by the community members seems to be very true.
And we know that the Western Regional Minister has also been commenting on this. What statement has he been making?
Well, the Regional Minister yesterday said emphatically that what he has as the Regional Security Council, it has been confirmed that these people do not have license, they do not have the lease, so they are operating illegally. Plus, I must say that these people, according to my sources at the Shema District Office, have been working for the past 6 months at the blind side of authorities.
Did you say 6 months?
6 months less.
So how come they were not discovered?
Well, what the Minerals Commission and authorities have put out there, they say that these people claim that they are not working. And so you go there in the morning, it seems they are just doing preparatory stages. And the place where it got, exploded happens to be where they are supposed to accommodate their workers. It's an accommodation site.
I see. Let's listen to the Western Regional Minister explain matters further.
I believe that we need to be intensify our monitoring of all the sites that we have. The other one was like gold, but this one is a quarry. Irrespective of that, they are all mining sites, and we need to look at our safety critically. My information is that the Minerals Commission has not gone through all the process with them. So now that we are doing an investigation, we should be able to catch up with the owners of the mine and then go forward, investigate, and see exactly what is happening already. And we are aware that 4 people have died, and then another 4 are injured. 2 or 3 of them are in critical condition. 1 is better, but the other 2 is very critical, and 1 has been discharged. We have to send our heartfelt condolences to the family of all those who have lost their lives because of this incident. But I strongly believe that we need to intensify our inspections on all the mining sites that we have. This is an old mine, and I believe that they should have been doing the right thing. The fire service is here, the police is here, and then they are doing their investigations. If you look at the way the bodies had been tattered because of the blast, you could actually feel the impact of the blast on the mine. But I believe that we'll be able to get to the bottom of the cause of the incident and put in the remedies that are needed. My information from the Minerals Commission is that they have not been fully licensed. So I believe that is part of the process. I don't know how they got started mining without the full complement of their licenses. But I also do believe that if they knew that they have started the process, they should have also been monitoring them as we are going through the process.
Well, so Natalia, do we know what will happen after today?
Well, we are all waiting for what the committee would say. I understand that the Interior Minister, that's what I'm picking up from the grounds, that he's supposed to be here. So we are waiting for that.
So the Interior Minister will be in the community to also help out with the investigations. What exactly is he expected to do?
I do not have details of his visit, but when I visited the community this morning, that's what I was picking from the grounds, that the Interior Minister would be visiting. And then just like yesterday, we did indicate that 4 of the Chinese nationals are still on the run. I mean, the police are still looking for these people. I must also say, Les, that per my investigation, my source, I got the information that the company is a joint partnership by a Ghanaian and then a Chinese national. That was what I picked up from the ground when I was there yesterday and today.
And how about claims that, because the minister was just pointing that this is an old site, it's not necessarily new. So how come there's a new ownership? How come it's becoming a new company?
Yes, so if we looked at the report from the Minerals Commission, and then from what I have personally picked up, the site originally was for Quarry, and so these new people are just they are new partners taking over from Quarry. That's how come this is not a new site.
Okay, so the new company bought this off?
Yes.
And they've been operating, as you're pointing out, for the last 6 months, or I mean, this was the
for the
previous
past 6 months. That's what I picked up from the community.
But how about the accounts from the Forestry Commission? Is it the Forestry Commission or the EPA pointing out that some cleaning procedures were being undertaken by this new company is the reason for which they were found on site? How do we reconcile the two?
Can you come again?
I was just talking about the accounts of the authorities and what also you're picking up. The authorities say that they were just carrying out regular cleaning and inspection work ahead of full takeover of this quarry site. How do we juxtapose these two accounts that we're hearing?
Yes, so what the authorities saying, and that per the press release we had from the Minerals Commission this morning, they did confirm that yes, the administrator of the company said that they were working ostensibly as the blind side of authorities, just to prevent authorities from knowing. For instance, not just authorities, but also the San William and Ferry Association within the district. And so, yes, authorities know that it's a preparatory stage, but these people end up working at night.
I see. That must be really concerning. But we're grateful for the updates that you're giving us, Natalia Kwanzaa. They're giving us updates, and we know that the Interior Minister will be there in a few hours from now. So we'll see what the updates will be. But of course, we'll keep our eyes there for you. We now take you to the Techiman municipality because residents there within the Bono East region are appealing to city authorities to institute measures capable of solving the municipality's flooding challenges. The residents who were speaking to Joy News after less than 30 minutes of rainfall attributed poor drainage along the principal streets of Techiman as the major cause of flooding within the municipality. And Asabit now reports.
Poor drainage systems in towns and cities contribute immensely to flooding. The drains and gutters constructed in the Techiman municipality are not large enough to ensure easy flow of water during rainy days, and this is one of the main causes of floods along the principal streets of the municipality. Residents are calling for the intervention of city authorities after some parts of the city was nearly flooded after less than 30 minutes of rainfall.
The
drainage constructed is too small, so the rainwater overflows onto the streets, making it difficult for us to cross. So we are appealing to authorities to help us find a lasting solution to this matter. It is always difficult for us as drivers whenever it rains. I was unable to cross this afternoon and had to use a different route around the main market. So we are all not spared, both drivers and Okada riders, because the rainwater gets into our vehicles, and that is worrying, so we are appealing for help. It's been so for the past 4 or 5 years. Since the construction of this road, this is even small. When it gets worse, you are even at risk of being carried away. Motorists are always at risk during rainy days, and school children find it difficult crossing the streets as a result of the situation.
Especially so cars.
When it rains heavily, it drags vehicles. School children sometimes causes accidents. So we want the regional minister, the MC, and the member of parliament to come to our aid before something terrible happens.
Well, anymore, you not to me, ma, Carpenter, Cocra. This simple who be better my idea. You tell Sunday and yan. Would you go Nipa Quasia to Sabbath Mafo, Abu Rammer, and more, not.
Though authorities have over the years taken cosmetic measures to help address the situation, these presidents want a lasting solution to the current situation.
Honorable MP. And MC say, "Acquire MC so to higher kakra." And you know,
Secretary to carry out a renovation work on this part of the road because it's not good for us.
Because it's me check car.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
And now the district chief executive for Mamprogu Manduri in the northeast region, that's Abu Adams, has denied the allegations that mining equipment that was confiscated from the illegal mining firm in the area has been sold by the assembly. The equipment, including excavators and a tipper truck, were said to have been seized by the security forces during an anti-galamsey operation within the area. According to the allegations, the DCE also failed to account for an unspecified quantity of gold that was seized within the operation period. Reacting to the allegations, however, the DCE said that the seized equipment was in the custody of the Regional Coordinating Directorate. Correspondent Ilyasu Tanko now reports.
Nkrumah is a small village located in the Mamprugu-Mwaduri district in the northwestern part of the northeast region, originally inhabited by the people of the Koma ethnic tribe, and shares a direct border with the Upper West region to the north and the Upper East region to the east. The community is endowed with a large deposit of gold, which for many years, in addition to subsistence farming, had been a major source of livelihood for the residents, who had always engaged in a small and restricted form of mining. The residents have for decades quietly mined gold in this community without cause for authorities worried, until the arrival of a Chinese-funded Ghanaian mining company registered as Manasseh Company Limited. The mining company started to engage in large-scale and unregulated mining operation, a situation that attracted hundreds of jobless young people to flood the community for illegal mining. By 2019, the village was completely overwhelmed by illegal miners, particularly in the wake of a security crackdown on Galamsey activities in the south of the country. By 2020, the activity of the company had begun to attract the attention of the regional authorities after large hectares of land had been damaged, including the creation of this deep crater. According to the district chief executive, the district security council received the first official instruction to flush out the illegal miners in 2021 after the Galamsey fight was extended to the north of the country.
There were illegal Chinese miners here. They were led by some Ghanaians to this place, and as the campaign to ensure that we eradicate illegal mining in our society, the DISEC reported to Regional Security Council, and we came here. Several attempts to get them ended in vain. Anytime we are here, we can't find them, but we only find their activities.
However, the DC revealed that the opportunity to finally flush out the illegal miners from the community came in June 2021 after a violent confrontation at the site between the local security guards and their Chinese financiers over payment irregularities. In that confrontation, the security guard were said to have attacked their Chinese masters and made away with several properties, including a large quantity of unrefined gold. The district chief executive confirmed that after the confrontation, the miners fled, following which he led the regional security task force to the site, where they confiscated, among other things, several pieces of abandoned mining equipment.
The team that came and sacked them, we reported to the regional coordinating council the item that had been left here. And when we came at that time, some of the items were already taken by very unscrupulous people. So we did our assessment. We were able to identify some 4 excavators who were far away from here. They were hiding. But at the time that we were advised by the Regional Coordinating Council to move them to the assembly, most of the parts of those excavators were removed. It cannot be removed. So we were able to retrieve some of the items that we can send to the assembly. And most of the items that we sent to the assembly were retrieved from some people and subsequently were sent to a regional coordinating council for safekeeping.
However, 2 years after the operation, which succeeded in stopping large-scale and unregulated mining in the Nkrumah community, executives of the opposition NDC in the region are demanding an investigation, as they accused the district chief executive of selling the confiscated mining equipment. In a statement signed by the regional communications officer A.A. Gafaru, the party alleged that 4 excavators among the seized items were sold for 84,000 Ghana cedis to individuals named Mr. Adam and Mr. Imoro.
On the part that I sold excavators is a big lie. I, as an individual, cannot sell an excavator.
In reaction, the district chief executive denied the allegation, describing it as a complete falsehood.
It's never true. I did not sell any equipment, and we did not sack these people without any reason. We sacked them from here because of the campaign against illegal mining, and we want to ensure that we protect our environment.
He also alleged a collusion between the illegal miners and some top executive of the NDC in the region, adding that the story should be disregarded, as it was one of the diabolic efforts of the NDC to discredit the success made in the fight against illegal mining in the district.
Yeah, I was not surprised, because this was coming from a political figures, opposition figures. The effort that we are putting to ensure that we protect our people, maybe you don't think of it because they did not talk about the damage these Chinese people cause here, but they rather talk about we sucking investors. And I don't think if we are looking for investors, we are looking at people who come to destroy our land this way. The investors should be benefit to the people and not to create a situation like this. The government is not saying we should not mine, but we should mine legally. Anybody who wants to come and do mining in Mampurugu Mwaduri should follow the appropriate channels, should follow the right way to acquire the right concession to come and mine.
From Nangruma, Ilyasu Tanko reporting for Joy News.
And the interdiction of key witnesses was an affront to democracy. That's according to Techiman, the chairperson of the ad hoc committee investigating the alleged plot against the Inspector General of Police in reaction to a Ghana Police's decision to interdict 3 of its chiefs. The police officers are key witnesses in the purported scheme to remove Dr. George Akufo-Dampare from office, which is being probed currently in Parliament, even though the decision to interdict them was reversed almost immediately. Mr. Samuel Atacha believes that the decision appeared as though the witnesses were being intimidated. He spoke to MFR Power on Probe last night.
I was very much surprised because, you see, when people have elected to testify on oath, and on their own volition, they do not have any sword hanging on their heads that, look, I mean, if you come here and you tell the truth, I mean, the powers that be might interdict you. In fact, if they knew that they could be interdicted, they won't come and testify. So if we are not careful, you are on the verge of interfering witnesses, blackmailing them or intimidating them. Because if the other police officers who should come before the committee to testify, and we have this clear understanding that, oh, if you open your mouth now, you'll be interdicted. Then the committee will be deprived of the benefit of witnesses who help us and aid us to come to the conclusions in terms of the findings of fact and the rest of it. So it was very, very serious.
Did we see that as more like an interference of the job of the committee?
No dispute about it. It was a raw and direct interference with what the committee was attempting to do. Because we depend on these witnesses to work. If you care to know, it is their testimonies that we are supposed to listen in total and get to some conclusion. The people who were purported to have been interdicted were in the middle, or if you like, the beginning of their testimony. Is it an attempt to blackmail them into keeping silent? Do you want to gag them with the fear of they being dealt with if they speak some more? And what is the interdiction supposed to achieve? When a committee of parliament has invited them, they didn't come to the committee on their own volition. They are obeying the powers of an arm of government as enshrined in the constitution. A few people come to tell you the fact that when a committee of parliament is sitting, by the terms of the constitution, they have the status of a high court. They can bring witnesses to the committee, they swear them on oath and the rest of it. So it was an affront to democracy that anybody attempted to, interdict the individuals whilst they were beginning to testify in the matter.
And then almost immediately, almost like 24 hours, we saw a reversal of it. Did your committee interfere in any way? Do you know what led to that reversal?
Well, I think it dawned on those who took the decision. I don't have any insider dealing as to how the decision was taken. But whoever took the decision, and maybe the kind of public uproar that greeted that singular decision of interdiction, they realized that it was a very serious mistake, and they were good enough to reverse it. So far, I'm glad that they saw how serious the interdiction vis-a-vis the committee's work was. And they decided that they should suspend the interdiction. And it's good for everybody.
Well, Mr. Techiman also took the opportunity to settle the matter on whether or not the IGP would appear before the committee.
On Tuesday, all the individuals who had done what I would call the preliminary talking on oath will come back with their lawyers.
Chief Bugrinabo, COP Alex,
yes.
George Mensah,
yes.
Emmanuel GB,
yes.
George Asare.
Sure, the 4 of them. They should come back with their lawyers. And also, the most prominent person whose name is being bandied about, the IGP himself. So the IGP himself should also come with his lawyers.
On Tuesday?
On Tuesday.
An invitation has been sent to him already?
We've sent every invitation to all those who matter. We're giving them all the videos that we have transcribed on paper. You're giving the transcription to them. We've also done what is very, very needful. All the proceedings captured so far, we've given it to them so that they will know who said what and who said what before they appear before us.
Why specifically do you need the IGP in all this? Really?
Well, because grave allegations have been made against him. Grave, of serious consequences. And I kept telling people that the committee is not the forum to appoint an IGP. That's the first instance. And we do not have malice aforethought against the IGP. The IGP's distraction is no benefit to the committee. But we won't sit down for the IGP to be disgraced and insulted without giving him a hearing.
But by inviting him to, does it not hurt the institution, the Ghana Police Service? No.
No.
That's the thought of some people.
Well, that is very banal because, you see, if we give the IGP the opportunity to hallow his name, then that is the way democracy should go.
But his image, the reason why you are inviting him, we heard all that in public.
Yes.
Now you're giving him the opportunity to hallow his name in camera.
Yes, because of what we consider as national security consideration. If it becomes very necessary to let the IGP speak to the cameras, why not? I'm saying that...
At what point will it become necessary? Because most of the allegations were made in public.
Well...
It's out there already.
Well, the allegations have been made, some serious allegations have been made in public, but the substance of the allegations have not been made in public. That is to say, the evidential support for those allegations is what we are going to unearth. So which, piece of evidence should we give to the public that will not hurt national security? We'll exercise that discretion.
Joining us now is Richard Commodore, a security consultant. Thank you, sir, for spending some time with us. Now it's confirmed that the IGP will be appearing before the committee. Many say it's not healthy, knowing that all the aggrieved factions will also be before this committee.
No, definitely I disagree. The IGP should be given the opportunity to appear before the committee, knowing Dan Parry for who he is and for his leadership skills. I'm not sure he's afraid of the committee. I think he will go there and speak and answer many of the questions that will be thrown against him. Remember, considering the fact that most of the things that were said on the tape were against his person and his role as an IGP, inviting him to the committee at this particular crucial time is just the right thing to do.
The decision to make that an in-camera hearing is beginning to raise concerns. The fact that the IGP should also be given the same opportunity his accusers were giving, just to clear the air on matters. But it doesn't look like that's what will happen based on what we're hearing from the committee chair.
Definitely. I was disappointed they don't want to make the IGP's hearing a public section. We want to hear the IGP answer those questions publicly. We don't want any third party to come and tell us what has been said and what has not been said. We want to see the IGP speak to the issues publicly. I would have loved to hear the IGP publicly speaking, addressing all the issues that were raised against him, giving him a hearing in camera. That I was disappointed in the first place, and I don't think that is the right thing to do. Blessed, I can tell you, there's nothing the IGP will say that will frown on national security. After all, many of the critical things were said on the tape, and those were the national security red flags. And giving the IGP the opportunity to speak, we should be mindful that he's the head of the Ghana Police Service, and putting him behind in some dark room to speak about issues where nobody will get to hear it. I'm a little bit disappointed in that one.
The suspension of the interdiction, now we're seeing, Bugrin Abuhu would also be appearing before the ad hoc committee and all of that. Do you see that unifying the Ghana Police Service now, unlike before where many were scared that, that single decision would have caused so much damage to the service?
You see, considering what is on the tape and what we've seen so far, the public hearing, anybody with a security intelligence operations background will tell you that the IGP has three options. The first one is to interdict them, which he did. The second one is to sack them uprightly. And the third one is to put them before the law court. Having said that, he triggered the first one by interdicting them. And I was happy that the interdiction letter was rescinded. If I was to be one of them, particularly my brother JB, who has the cybersecurity department, I would have resigned. Because you know why? When you are interdicted, you can play the NDC MPP politics. Sometimes it doesn't bring you back. Many people have been interdicted. Governments have changed. IGPs have changed. They've been to court. The court said they should reinstate them. It never happened. And for him losing all his entitlements and pensions and benefits, my heart goes out to him. And if I were him or I had opportunity to advise him, I would have just said, brother, you know you crossed the red line. In line with police administration and the standard protocols that set up the law enforcement agencies, you crossed the red line. An entrapment has been set for you, and indiscretion led you to cross the red line, and you better resign. Other than that, even if you take away Dampari, you can't be interdicted by any other IGP, and that will not be looking good for my brother.
Okay, but the service itself, do you see them in a better, much more better position now, knowing that all this will die down? You know, the service, the morale within the service will just bounce back.
It's not much about the service, but it's about the particular officers caught up in this indiscretion. I cannot imagine myself standing before Yadoko, who is the director of BNI, and be suggesting names for people who should take his position. I cannot imagine an IGP, a police officer, standing before Peter Namfori and suggesting names to take over from him. I think indiscretion has been the issue, and it should be a warning to all serving officers, and particularly the genius in this particular order. Working for 27 years and find yourself in this particular entrapment, I think it's not the right thing. And it would not affect the morale of the police officers, but it will affect the outlook and the image of the officers involved should they come back to the service.
Security-wise, and when it comes to the aspect of probing this matter fairly, do you feel that it's the right decision to have all of these individuals appear before the same committee at the same time?
No, definitely the IGP hold a PhD, and I believe he operates with high levels of emotional intelligence. And I don't see him throwing tantrums and being angry with that level of bitterness as we've seen so far. I think he should go with cool heads and answer the questions. Those ones that borders on issues above him, he has the option, the flexibility to say he would decline to answer those ones. But you know what is happening? I think that BNI has done a good job on this particular issue. They have done their own investigations and they are keeping their reports close to their chest. Knowing them to be a secret society, they wouldn't release it to the general public. And whoever is interested in these results, I think they have copies of it.
I think that's an interesting point you're raising there. If the BNI indeed knows about what's happening now, do you feel that will send some of the security chiefs packing, dismissed probably? Because at the end of the day, all of these reports will get to the president.
Definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if they were all sent back home. And the interdiction letter that was resent, nobody should be happy and nobody should go have a party. There might be people who are interested in this particular case. You remember when the two senior officers keep on saying they have an intel, they have an intel, they have an intel. It was one of the probings that led to the fact that it was when they got to the BNI that the name Ashanti came up, which means that independently, they were not able to crack whatever happened to them and how they were caught up in this evasive entrapment. That is to say that as security officers at the highest level, their intelligence sources and access, and if Bukri Nabo happened to be one of an asset to Dampari, then you will not be wise to go speaking to him on the matter of many of the things you said. Blessed, do you know why? If we were to be in my time in the BNI, you will be asked 4 questions, and the 5th one will take you to prison for 5 years or 10 years. And the questions are going to follow this way. Do you know you are a law enforcement officer? Yes or no? Do you know Bukri Nabo and know he's a politician? Yes or no? Do you know his office and have you been there before? Yes or no? Did you speak to him about yourself and issues regarding the security agencies, either the one you work directly in or some other one? Yes or no? If your answers to these questions are yes, nobody will bother to set up a committee for you and ask you whether the tape was dotted and whether did he say almost everything on the tape. You know very well at that point you have crossed the red line, and you should be praying to God for mercy.
Okay, so what it does mean is that per the code of conduct for these police officers, they've already violated it one way or the other.
Definitely. I'm telling you, you can even bring in the NDC, MPP politics. Everybody who works within the law enforcement agencies, you know definitely you have crossed the line. And you know when you join security intelligence, there are 4 things they teach you. 1, you have to be invasive. Number 2, you have to learn how to escape an entrapment. And number 4, you need to have a strong cover story. And I think many of these things, they let their guards down and they caught them off guard. You remember that was why Peter Tobo was asking them, as a law enforcement officer, when you have a problem with the IGP, have you done A? Have you done B? Have you done C? And he asked the sorry guy, going to speak about the secretary to the president and the area mama in the manner you have done, creating political controversy for you. Don't you think you have crossed the line? And they should be thankful to the committee chair who sometimes step on their toes to say, don't say they are setting a trap for you. But because of the levels of anger, they don't listen and they are tempted to speak more. If I were to be in that position, I would have said, hey, this is an indiscretion. I find myself at the wrong side. I take fully responsible for my actions and I'm asking for mercy.
Okay, that's it about the senior officers. The IGP claims subsequently we've seen in videos circulating on social media, allegedly, where some claims were made that, for instance, there are some contracts that are being given individuals such as Bogrinabu purportedly being paid by the Ghana Police Service. Are all these likely factors that could create the grounds for the president to begin to commission probably a probe into the conduct or leadership of the IGP himself?
There are 2 things involved. If anybody tells you Bogrinabu is being paid 10,000 Ghana cedis by the IGP, so it's an offense, then these guys are naive and they have just woken up from sleep. The director BNI has so much money at his disposal and the CID boss has so much money at his disposal. National security budget is non-audited and these guys have so much money that helps them to pay their assets and security informants. And that is how come they are able to operate at that level. How do you think the FBI or the CIA have information all over the world? They pay for it. And there are people in this country who live by selling information. To the extent that there are some allegations of a contract, we will want to find out whether some procurement breaches have occurred. But hey, my brother, even at the procurement committee level, at authority level, Azurim announced it from your outlook, my brother and Nance have done jobs. And we are aware that this is the way politicians behave. And I can also tell you that the state is struggling to get people to fill in positions at the highest level. The National Security Coordinator is a politician. The Director BNI is a politician. They struggle to get Dan Parry to become an IGP. And Apietu is one of the best police officers we have in this country. But you remember how he came and how he was thrown out. Then Opombwedu came with contrast extensions, and then Dan Parry came. I can tell you on a fact that Dan Parry coming knows that he can be thrown out at any day. But whether you take out Dan Parry or you let him stay, we are struggling as a nation, and I think this is the first time this is happening to us. It's a wake-up call, and we will need to look through and fight our way through to streamline the operations of the national security as a whole.
After tomorrow, what will be your expectation from the committee, first of all, from the IGP next, and from these senior police officers?
No, I think from the committee level, Dan Parry appearing is a good thing to them. It will help them to have a comprehensive and a complete outlook and a book that will be produced or the report to be completed that they have heard from almost everybody involved. From the IGP as a whole, I think he needs a sober mind. People have accused him of not being a frontline police officer by a small of academia. There has been allegations against him that he's killing people more than President Rawlings. He will need to look at his operational strategies again. There have been issues about he facilitated contracts to some individual politicians. He will need to think and be sober about that one. With regards to politicians and to national authority, I've had cause to speak to some few people, and I think the state is struggling a little bit. The big boys in the office of the president will need to sit up and streamline the operations of the national security institutions, or the coordinated activities of these institutions have to be looked at again. And I think they will come out strongly, and those who cross the red line will need to be sent home.
Do you see that happening in this case, and who do you suspect might be going home at the end of the day?
If they don't act now, you see, not punishable of offenses rationalizes bad behavior and promotes awkward attitude within law enforcement agencies in particular. The young ones are watching, and the onlookers are looking to see what is going to happen. If you allow them because they play NDC or NPP political party cards, we are in this country. The tables may turn tomorrow, and it creates problem for them as individuals. People will be looking at them with some funny eyes. And I think the proper thing to do in this circumstance is to resign and keep your heads alive.
And it's striking, learning from the accounts that we're giving during the committee sittings, that the position of the IGP, you'd have to lobby for it. We need reform.
No, I disagree. I seriously disagree. You have to lobby for it. Richard Commando, with 28 years experience in security intelligence arena, I will not get up and lobby for any position. My uncle Kojo Chikata did not lobby to become National Security Coordinator. Mr. Techiman did not lobby to become National Security Coordinator. Peter Nampere did not lobby to become IGP. Many of the guys who came did not lobby. And I can tell you that on authority. I think it should be more about your competence, and it should be more about the favor of God. And I think we should see that position as a position of leadership and not an entitlement. To say you are an NDC member or you are an NPP member, so you are lobbying for it, it means that you are not there to serve your country and you are there to play political cards. Blessed, if you remember, before every major elections, the law enforcement officers are allowed to vote a week before. That is to say that until that particular opportunity is given to you, Ghana becomes your political party and Ghana becomes your constituency, irrespective of whichever political party cards you might be holding in your pocket. And I disagree seriously that you need to lobby for that position. No wonder the politicians are treating them the way they are treating them, because some of them went selling their soul to the politicians who trample upon them. And that is why we are struggling as senior law enforcement officers. And I always disagree with anybody who said you have to lobby for that position.
Okay, so we'll wait to see what then happens tomorrow. I'm grateful for your time this afternoon.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
Richard Commando, security analyst, joining us in this whole conversation. The Ghana Cocoa Board is optimistic that the upward adjustments of the farm gate price of cocoa beans by some 63.5% will help discourage cocoa farmers from actually selling their arable lands to illegal miners. President Akufo-Addo announced a bag of cocoa beans will now be sold at 1,308 cedis for its new cocoa crop season. The increment comes after some cocoa farmers intensified calls for an upward review of cocoa prices to prevent the prevalence of smuggling and farmers turning farmland into galamsey sites. We'll hear from the president shortly, and also the head of the Cocoa Board. But first, okay, let's do President Akufo-Addo announcing this price adjustment of cocoa in Tepa within the Ashanti region.
Until recently, international prices of cocoa have remained relatively low and made worse by COVID-19. Despite of this, Cocoa Board and government have been taking the very hard decision of increasing producer price of cocoa. Cocoa prices have increased from 7,600 cedis per ton in 2016 to 12,800 cedis per ton in 2022, a significant increase of 68%. This has had an adverse impact on Cocoa Board's financial performance. However, the sustainability of the entire industry hinges on a well-remunerated producer who's willing to invest in business only with the certainty that government will pay the appropriate price. The international market is beginning to pick up, and government, in keeping with our promise to our gallant cocoa farmers, has today increased cocoa prices from 12,800 cedis per ton to 20,943 cedis per or 1,308 cedis per bag. That price is 70.5% of the gross FOB price and is equivalent to $1,821 per ton. It is the highest to be paid to cocoa farmers across West Africa in some 50 years. With the predicted stable prices above 2,600 United States dollars threshold, government will continue to honor our farmers with good prices in the years ahead. Indeed, better days are ahead.
And thanks for staying with us. We can now hear from Cocoa Board on the newly adjusted prices.
Take into consideration the weighted average. We say weighted average because I'm sure a lot of people will go on the internet and quote the figures at the prevailing market at international level and use it as the basis of calculating the farm-gate price. But the farm-gate price is actually determined based on sales over the years because we start selling way ahead before the season begins. So the weighted average is what is used in determining the farm-gate price. When the farm-gate price is arrived, when the weighted average is arrived on, then we take into consideration other industry costs, and that has been the practice over the years. However, this year there was a change. Usually, what we used to do was to take out industry costs, and then we arrive at the net FOB, and a percentage not less than 15% is given to the cocoa farmer, not less than 70% is given to the cocoa farmer. However, this year, the new directive was that we should give gross FOB, a percentage of the gross FOB, as a way of insulating farmers from any excesses in the industry costs, such that farmers' income would rise.
And that's all we have for you in this package of the Pulse and Blessings. Log on to myjoyonline.com. We have stories for you. Thanks for watching.